The Dales are a land to the west of Ferelden, to the west of the Frostback Mountains, separating that area and Orlais, a large area that was given to the elves by the humankind. But the elves were essentially betrayed when they didn't continue to believe in the gods of humankind and believed in their own. The Chantry sent an exalted march to strike the Dales down, to strike the Dalish down, and so the Dales did fall. The elves' home was taken from them, and the Dalish elves became nomadic wanderers, still rebellious in spirit, not willing to become slaves to Fereldans, so still living on the outskirts, wild, more feral, but in touch with nature, magic. These are essentially wood elves. However, Paedar, a Dalish elf, journeying into the human lands to decide whether they are worth the chance, played by Pete, one of our gaming group. He has managed to take herbs of a rare component, to have a vision, to have a drug-like trance, to see into the eyes of one of his ancestors, a nameless elf who fought in that Dalish war to try and save his homeland. Once he has struck against a scout he met on the road. Twice he struck again with his village, attacking a camp as a preemptive strike, and now a final battle lays before him in this trilogy of pre-campaign one-to-one battles to start our player Dragon Age campaign off. This is the telling of that final battle. This time it is a mage of great power and influence indeed, although his stats are only level 1, but still, it is the cleverness, the way in which he has devised things, the areas in which he has exceeded in his learning, that into elvish, Dalish, arcane lore. That's right, he has counter-magicked them. They had captured, as part of the Exalted March, one of the forward areas of an elf region and taken captive a keeper. From him, through a means of mind control and torture by Chantry officers, magical secrets of the Dalish have been extracted and their magics exposed. This one human has excelled in the learning and application of those Dalish magics, and is now using them in their focusing crystalline form to try and actively scry out the other elf locations and villages. The keeper of Paedar's ancestor, his nameless ancestor's village, has determined that there is a Chantry mage hired by the Chantry out there scrying the locations of other villages, including theirs. If this location is found, the forward marching army, when they arrive later this day, will have a clear target to march on them and crush them. It is his Dalish magical technology that he uses to attempt to scry out the location of the elvish villages that gives the keeper in this village we look at the chance to counter-scry him. Like can find like, down through the ground, the roots of the trees, how they speak, their voice, how you are allowed to see, how you can scout and envisage that which is beyond. The keeper of the village is using a divination crystal over a map to try and locate this mage's position before it's too late, and he has called Paedar's nameless ancestor into his yurt with him to speak of this matter. He has told him that it must be found now. He must depart immediately. A group of elves will give themselves away, for he is already scouting in tuned to oncoming. His eyes are everywhere. Only one elf would be able to have a chance of getting close enough to attack before he could reposition and leave. This nameless elf is given the task, given the other half of the divining crystal that is magically cracked in two, and told, I will continue to divine over this map. It will glow from its cyan colour of cold to an orange hue as it gets in closer to the location. And on your crystal, when you are accordingly closer in proximity, yours too will glow. Follow this. Use it to the best of your ability. Find this mage. So that's the setup. I had Pete run a stealth opposed test versus this guy's scrying magic. Now, scrying isn't a focus, so it was just straight magic. And, well, yes, he won. This guy has a magic of 4, so he adds that to the 3d6. Based on the dragon die result of a 4, I granted that he would have 40 seconds warning of Paedar's approach. Now, because of this, it was very important how much warning he would get, because a stone skin spell takes 60 seconds to cast, and it must be out of combat. So as soon as he learnt of the approach while in his divination, he instantly starts trying to put the spell on himself. So, Paedar's approaching. And then, because of his attempts to also read the instrument that he's using, he rolled very, very badly in attempting to interpret the hotter, colder game of that thing, and it actually bought the mage a little bit more time to also just about complete that spell. Very bad rolling there from Pete, unfortunately. Just as he turns up, he sees this hut, and it looks like it's naturally grown out of the ground, out of a combination of leaves and branches, roots, things that have twisted up and come round and formed into this hut. No windows, no chimney, a sort of rough roof, but it's all natural, and one door. And he sees a man that looks like a mage stepping in through the door, looking back out, watching him as he approaches the clearing, and the door closes. You can also smell magic fresh in the air. So the stone skin spell has been successfully applied, and the mage has gone into the hut, fallen back into there. The nameless ancestor approaches the hut, decides, yep, this is the location. How the heck has he grown this up out of the ground? Well, of course, the enslaved keeper has been forced to do all sorts of magic incantations and reveal the secrets of his own kind. And this mage specialises in the application of them. If this mage isn't stopped, he's going to be solely responsible for the fall of countless villages. He climbs up onto the roof desperately, trying to look for a way in. He takes his short sword and starts trying to hack at the roof. But no, his short sword isn't enough to cut through the branches. It's just too thick. Just too much there. He needs a good axe, a good chopping axe to do it. He doesn't have an axe. He thinks about it. He tries to work it out. He can smell magic coming from inside suddenly, but he doesn't do anything to move out of the way. An arcane bolt fires up from inside the hut, hits the ceiling, shakes it, creates a small opening, but the roof absorbs the most of it. It shakes him up a bit. He looks down through the tiny hole. He can see the mage has fired the spell up at him. He tries to ready himself what to do next. Initiatives are rolled now, after that first free strike, because he stood around doing nothing when he first smelt the magic burning. The mage goes first, higher on the initiative. He gets to strike again. The arcane bolt comes up. Just about misses him. He dodges out of the way, exerts himself, fatigues himself. Minor hit points down, 1 or 2 or what have you. Minor exertion to not get hit by it. Blasts a hole in the roof now. Not massive, you know, like a supermodel waist thin. Or elf. The nameless ancestor looks in on the roof with his bow. Fires down through one of the holes. He's got the higher ground, so he's +1 to hit. He shoots. The mage jumps out of the way, tries to avoid it. Hit points going down from a hit. Runs around the room to a different position. Again. Fires. Another arcane bolt up out of the ceiling. Another great big hole. This one, forced through the roof, sears the nameless ancestor's calf muscle. Burns it. Burns him through the bottom of the feet. Tears a second hole in the rooftop. Again, the nameless ancestor fires another arrow down through. It thuds into the table. Sends the cloth material at the arm. Sticks it to the table. He desperately yanks on it. And while he's trying to yank it free, he concentrates and casts a magical healing spell on himself, a 1d6 out of the 3d6 optional. He heals himself, regenerates, rejuvenates his worn spirits already to sharpen his mind. The nameless ancestor continues to fire arrows through the holes as he sees them. Another arcane bolt comes up. 3 holes now in the roof. He's firing arrows down. These just about striking or just missing the mage there. One lands in the mage's side. He tears it out in pain. Looks at the blood. He's not used to seeing his own blood. Tears it in half and throws it down. Ripped some of his own flesh away, but he doesn't care. The stone skin spell, the skin has turned into stone like this, has made the pain he feels feel different to him, strange. He thinks he's immortal. He thinks he's more powerful than he is. He believes that, even though it hurts, that he can't die. This spell will protect him from just mere wood and flint. This knife-eared animal on the roof here trying to skewer him with pointy toothpicks. The superiority of great magic will overcome it, he thinks. He's very badly hurt indeed, worn down, this wound in his side. He prepares a healing spell, 3d6. Meanwhile, the nameless ancestor picks the largest of the holes and tries to slide down it. He squeezes with all of his might, like Santa Claus on a busy night, and forces through the hole. Just enough, because he's an elf. An elf or posh spice. Either one of those would work. He lands. Ready. Lands well. Acrobatically graceful. Pulls out his short sword. Goes after him. He swipes. He hits the table. The short sword gets stuck in the wood. He panics for a moment, but manages to loose it free and try to stab the man again. He avoids out of the way. Raises his quarterstaff to try and bat it. Paedar attacks again. Swipes. He swipes back. Disarms the quarterstaff from the mage's hands. It flies 3 yards across the table. Rolls. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Onto the bench. On the other side of the table. No longer does he have it. No matter. The mage readies now his wand. But before he uses the wand in hand still, all Ryu from Street Fighter special bar full up styly goes for a massive once a day Hadouken. And by that I mean another arcane blast. Almost at point blank range. And indeed, it does hit. And it strikes a great big massive hole in the chest, heavy leather armour of the nameless ancestor. It is a burning ring and seared skin, but still has not gone into the flesh. Still, the armour has held true. It is just skin burning. It is only pain. This fight is more than pain. This is a fight to the death for the lives and souls of his people. He must ignore his pain. He must press on. He ignores the wound and attacks again, slashing this way, that, making the mage scramble round the table worriedly, catches a bit more of his robes, cuts it off, slashes through it, and a hole in it. He's desperately firing his wand, running around the table, trying to fire his wand. The auto attacks as his mana's running out. Desperately trying to fire this. He's got no mana left, in fact. This thing doesn't use mana points. It just is a normal auto attack. But it does allow him to proc stunt points on the normal chart instead of the magical spell stunts. Firing, counter-firing, back and forth. And again, Paedar, out with the bow, fires at close range. He just moves his head just enough. It smashes into the wall behind. Thuds. Suddenly someone wants to drink a drink of cider strongbow for inexplicable reasons. And then he manages to get himself a skirmish, and the mage manages to use stunt points to skirmish towards the door, knock the nameless ancestor onto his back with another one shot. This has knocked him right down. He's fallen to the side and rolled out of the way a bit, and he's run for the door, gone out of the door, shut it behind him, and run away from the hut. And then he uses a proper run action to try and hide in the undergrowth outside. Ancestor gets up, looks around him, sees the door is shut, opens the door, looks for the mage, runs out after him, tries to find him, locates him. His stealth attempt fails. Spot check succeeds. Out comes the bow, fires it, makes the mage roll out of the way to try and avoid it. He's breathing heavily, he's panting, he's gasping, he's just run to try and get to the undergrowth to hide down there, kneeling like he's trying to take a poo or something. But, no, he's hiding. And now he's had to roll. This is difficult for him. He gets up. Meanwhile, the Dalish elf closes in, angry, letting his emotions get the better of him. What is this Dalish elf best at? He's best at firing a bow. If he fires the bow, he's +5 to hit. If he slashes with his short sword, he's only +3. If he fires with his bow, it is d6 +3. If he uses a short sword, it's d6 +2. Furthermore, the short sword uses strength onto that damage, which is only 2. The bow uses perception, which is 3. Again, another damage more. But he's not thinking clear. The bow would hurt it more. He's better with the bow. He can more likely to hit with the bow and does better damage with the bow. Use the bow. But no, the anger's taken over. He wants to cut him with his own hand now. Damn you, mage, I'm going to get you. Runs after him, does a move action and then closes the gap with a charge as his major. Goes in, +1 to hit. Slashing. Puts the mage on the defensive immediately. All he's got is his wand there to try and fend him off and to duck out of the way and try and push him back. He's slashing this way and that, trying to get him down, but still that rock armour. Those strikes are hitting, but they are striking skin and turning off as these boulders and pieces of stone come off away and show themselves. And where it strikes, you can see the skin glows a strange colour where the robes are cut open to expose the flesh. The mage pulls away from him, stepping back, getting ready with his wand. The nameless ancestor puts his sword away, gets his bow back out, starting to come to his senses. My God, what was I doing? But he's wasting time. There's no time to aim. He has to fire. He loses it off. Again. This only grazes just over. You know, it's fatiguing him down. It's not enough to kill this mage. The rock armour's making all the difference. That is 4 armour off of every piece of damage that gets done to him. Not good news. The mage fires back again with another arcane lance from the wand. He's completely dry out of mana, but just relying on this. This time he procs 5 stunt points. Well, it is the combination of those. The pierce armour, to tear, to aim it straight at the hole in the chest. Hits him through the chest, hits him through the cavity where his heart needs to beat. He's standing, almost pretty much dead, on his feet, still with his bow drawn, ready to fire it. It's this shot or nothing. He's now in a dying state. Usually in Dragon Age, if you're in a dying state, you can't do anything but talk. But because of what's inside his heart, because of the magnificent importance of having to kill this thing. And in the previous shot, he was 7 hit points, and he got down to 1, bear in mind, from a 6 damage that got through. So it was unbelievable, and he still wasn't able to finish the mage on this one. And so for the mage to do this, to put him down now to 0 hit points, it's some very bad rolling. He just couldn't control his emotions. This just got the better of him. It's annoyed him, the fact that they're using elf magic in this way. He's dead on his feet. He's got his bow ready. This is the final shot of the fight for him. It's his last chance. He's going to die. There's nothing going to change that. He gets to take the mage with him. He fires. The arrow sears forward. He's left on 3 hit points. He's exerted. He's raised the wand. He's put it up. It sort of struck his wand, struck his hand, gone through into the side of the hand. It's hurt him. He's dropped the wand. But he still lives. He still lives. And he watches. He watches as he pulls this arrow out of the bone, watches this elf, just angry at it for the pain he's caused him now, because that one even got through the stone skin, and he's properly bleeding out of it, at the bone. He's probably even going to have problem with the hand now. It's probably going to gnarl, and he watches this elf collapse to his knees. He watches with the last of his dying breath, and Paedar too, through the eyes of his nameless ancestor, watches as the mage explains what he's going to do to the villages, and turns his back and just walks away confidently to get to some magical files that are inside the hut so that he can start to try and repair the damage that has been done to his body, to his hand as well, but also to his mana. He needs some lyrium quickly. And so it did come to pass, as the history books will testify, that the Dales did fall, and that terrible mage, Damus Archon, did help to govern the attacks on the elf villages, including that elf village that was attacked and put low. Only a few of those Dalish got away. The nameless ancestor did remain there, dead on both of his knees, unable to slump backwards or forwards, as if his body is gone, but something inside him knows that he needs to get up and stand and keep going. And there he remains dead in this strangely disturbing, unnatural position. This last jolt of pain, seeing the nameless ancestor die in this way, getting to pan away through it in his drug-enhanced state, seeing the lands falling to the chantry. He snaps out of the drug state, Paedar now awake. His hatred for humanity has grown. He needs to go on a personal campaign to right this, for he feels it more deeply and closely in his heart, the fall of the Dales, than even the other elves around him, and they can't understand him. They can't understand the degree of hate in his heart. The others say, yes, but look, we have to try and get on or they'll wipe us out. And he say, I don't care if they wipe us out. Let's kill as many of them as we can. Even his own kind don't understand him now. He knows that they would have if they'd have experienced it with their 2 eyes, with their ears, if they'd have felt the pain, if they'd have seen it and seen what their ancestors had gone through like he had. So he's a loner everywhere he goes now, even to his own kind. And so he wanders in the human lands, wanders close to his enemy, wants to get close to them, to understand them, to learn about them. And he says, all right, it has been a number of years since that has happened. Generations have passed. I'm going to give you one last chance, humanity. I'm going to wander amongst you. And I'm going to decide this from wandering amongst you. Is there more good than bad in you? Or is there more bad than good in you? If I decide that there is more good than bad, then perhaps I will not go on this campaign of hate and killing. But I will go amongst you, walk with you, and go on quests of your importance and make coin off of you. And I will learn your ways by getting close to you. And if I decide that you are not worthy to live, then I have not done all this to help you. I have done this to learn my enemy, and in doing so, I will be better prepared to fight you when the time comes. We now find Paedar joining this group as a travelling partner on adventures and quests, carrying a secret pain in his heart that no one else could ever truly understand. Thank you for joining us, guys. Keep tuned for more stuff, and I will see you at the play session table.